Connections That Matter was filmed before a live studio audience. And welcome to today's episode of Connections That Matter. I was stopped in the hallway outside the studio the other day, and I was asked, what is a connection that matters, and why does it matter? A connection that matters is a relationship built within ourselves or others that is based on honesty, healthy boundaries, which include accountability for behavior, both from within ourselves and coming from others. Well, why does that matter? Well, I think I can describe that best by telling you, the audience, a little bit about myself and my life. Now that I had taken into consideration self-honesty, boundaries, and accountability, I find that the relationships I build with others and within myself tend to be transformative rather than transactional. You see, when I was a child, I left home at the age of 16. I had been abused, and anything but home seemed better. I left home with nothing more than an arrested sense of emotional development and the clothes on my back. I found myself quickly living on the streets. And out here, in a place that I call the concrete jungle, the only thing on my mind was survival. It's all that I could think of. In that realm, I mostly encountered people who wanted to use me. To survive out here, I had to adapt and become a manipulative person who also only thought for himself. Every action I had down on these streets contained an element of give and take. It's no wonder that after surviving the streets, as I re-entered society, that I carried a template for interaction with others that was survival-based and involved isolation. Survival, isolation, the two modes I mentioned in the previous episode. A world where people cared for each other just for the sake of caring for each other, no less and no more, was inconceivable to me. I simply couldn't see past my own pain. After decades of seeking relief from the bottom of a liquor bottle, I got into a 12-step recovery program, joined the church that is facilitating this podcast you're listening to, went through therapy, and continued taking classes that the curriculum for which was written by counselors who held PhDs in neuroscience. Through all of this, I learned one very salient point: that the damage done to me in relationships with others could only be healed again through relationships with others. I had to learn how to make connections that matter if I wanted to get over my past and continue as a functioning member of society and feel joy and hope. Today, I see myself and others in a much more positive light. Contentment and serenity have finally become stabilizing outriggers on this canoe that I call a life. This is what I want to share with you. While my case is extreme, almost everybody out there, many of you listening, have suffered in one way or another. I want to share with you tools and practices that can lead to better feelings of fulfillment in your lives and a sense of hope for the future. That is why I want you to listen to this podcast. In our previous episode, we discussed the topic of simply making connections to begin with, the why and how of starting conversations. Today, we are going to dive into the most important aspect of being in a conversation to form a connection, and that is listening. Today's episode will center around 4 tips on how to become a better listener. and its pertinence to creating connections that matter. My guest today, joining us live here in the studio, is Chad Brock. Mr. Brock has come all the way up from the coast of California to help us understand this topic we are discussing. Fun fact, I met this individual in a bookstore on the boardwalk of Santa Cruz. There I was, casually sifting through the stacks, looking for books about how they made the pyramids, because that mystery has always intrigued me. When the most casual person I have ever met meanders up to me with long hair, sandals, trunks, and a tank top, he looks over my shoulder at the book I was flipping through, and he gives me the most sage advice on the creation of the pyramids I have ever heard. Do you remember what you said to me that day? Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I said, if the aliens were advanced enough to build the pyramids, then they would also be advanced enough to cover up any trace that they were the ones who did it. Therefore, the fact that there is no evidence proving aliens built the pyramids is total proof that the aliens built the pyramids, man. And I found myself stunned by the pragmatism of your hypothesis. So much I said to myself, Mike, I simply must have this man on our show. Turns out, against all odds, his schedule was open. So 2 weeks and one train ride later, here we are. So I want you all to please give a warm welcome to Chad Brock, world-class surfer extraordinaire. Hey, man. Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, man. I got to say, though, it's really cold up here. I don't know how you guys put up with it. Yeah, your beaches, man, small, rocky, no swells worth riding. Well, we aren't really on the ocean directly, per se. We're in the Puget Sound. I noticed you've managed to somehow squeeze your surfboard into this tiny studio here with us. Yeah, man, I never go anywhere without it. It's like an extension of myself, man. Well, okay, maybe if we could just sort of prop it up right there. Oh, don't worry, man. It's not going to fall on you. It's a really well-trained surfboard. Okay, hey, let's get started. So when it comes to the subject of how to be a better listener, I have 4 key fundamental tips to share with you that can help you in being better at making connections that matter. Whoa, sorry, man. Sorry. Here, I'll just prop it up over here. Oh, there, that's better. That's more out of the way. Well, that's up against the window, but what's the worst that could happen? Okay, so we got to get going. Number 1 tip is to concentrate on what people are saying. It's to not let your phone interrupt your attention span to the person speaking. Whoa. You may be a great multitasker, but if you constantly react to the chimes of received texts or multimedia postings, you are giving off the impression that you're not listening, even if you are. And perception is reality to others. Hey, does that make sense? Oh, sorry, dude. Oh, man. My friend just posted him putting a turtle on a bicycle and then letting it coast down a hill on its own. That's okay. You just sort of illustrated my point perfectly. Whoa, that didn't end well. Should have chosen a hill without a cross street at the bottom. Yeah, hey, sorry, man. You know what? My behavior is totally bogus right now. You're right. Here, just let me RSV this invitation you just sent out to come over for soup. Okay, I'm back. I got it set to mute now for a while we're talking. Well, thank you. I appreciate the consideration. Number 2 is to be slow to bring the conversation back to you. This is a trap I see people fall into every day, including myself. We have good intentions when we jump right in and tell someone a similar story about something that happened to us that pertains to what they said, it feels to us like we're relating to them. Our motives aren't bad, but it gives the impression we weren't listening, even if we were. And again, let's practice being honest with ourselves. How well were we really listening if we were busy queuing up our own record while theirs was still playing? Here's a trick. Make it a self-rule that when someone tells you a story about something that happened to them, that you must first ask at least 2 questions of them regarding their story before you chime in with yours. You're learning more, you're listening more, and they will feel that the connection they have made with you matters more. If you just go off on a tangent with no acknowledgement of what they have said, how can they feel what they have said matters to you? You've given them no point of reference that it does. Yeah, totally, dude. I remember this one time, me and my bro were catching some cool swells off the Cardiff Reef, man, when I noticed there was a shark in the water. So I told my bro, hey, man, there's a shark in the water, man. And then he just launched right into a story about this one time when he saw a shark in the water. And I was like, dude, I'm talking about right now. And he was like, yup, I know what you mean, bro. That time when we saw a shark in the water was right now. At that time. Wow. Truly an unfathomable sense of awareness. Yeah, right. There was nothing I could do. Dude just kept going on about his story while Jaws kept circling closer and closer. Didn't end well for him. Almost as bad as the turtle. I guess you could say that the shark ended up making a connection with him. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry that happened. What a gruesome way to go. No, he survived to tell the tale over and over again. Wait, so he survived? Yeah, but he's not half the man he used to be, if you know what I mean. Ugh. Yeah, I get the picture. Let's move on. Tip number 3 is don't pretend to understand things you don't. This includes words and things and concepts and constructs. Anything. I have talked to people who have, very polite mannerisms. They nod their head, they say, uh-huh. But then if I go to them and ask a question pertaining to what I just said, they go, huh? Oh, and I'm left with the feeling that they didn't really care what I was talking about, and thus that the connection we were forming in the conversation didn't really matter too much to them. One thing I make myself do is ask for clarification when someone, for example, uses a word that I don't know. Asking what a word means is good. That's how I learned a lot of the words I know, by asking. Not only did I expand my vocabulary, but I left the person talking with the feeling that I was listening and that I cared enough to understand what they were saying to ask them to clarify something for me. Since you'll like this, Brock, since I've learned so many words from my bros, I call it my brocabulary. Yeah, brocabulary. That's awesome, dude. Oh, totally got a brocabulary. I've learned all my grammar crackers from my bros, dude. Such pontifical phrases as gnarly, dude, and totally radical. We also used to say wicked, although we would have skipped that one if we knew they were going to make a musical out of it. Oh, yeah, the one based on The Wizard of Oz. It's very popular right now. I went to that one thinking it would be totally wicked, and there wasn't a single shred of Van Halen anywhere in it. I was totally bummed, dude. Well, did you stay for the whole thing? Well, I tried to add some fun to the whole thing by rushing the stage, like we used to. But security didn't like that one, not one little bit. Did you get escorted out? Oh, yeah, that's putting it lightly. but only because I was the only one who was trying to get a mosh pit going. Imagine that. If only the others would have joined in and a mosh pit and a musical would have been formed. That would have been totally wicked. Hey, wait a minute, bro. You just used that 2-question rule, didn't you? Sure did, which means I can segue now. Some years ago in a bowling alley, a man said to me when commenting how dirt and grime get down the waxed lanes of a bowling alley, he said that it meliated down there. Now, I could have nodded my head and said something meaninglessly affirmative, or I could ask what the word meant, since I didn't know. So I did and found out that it was a cool way of saying something got tracked in. It referred to the fact that the dirt or oil or grime eventually got tracked down the lanes by rubbing off from the bowling balls that traveled down those lanes. Made sense. And not only did he realize I was listening well enough to care for a clarification, thus leaving him with more of a feeling that our conversational connection mattered, my vocabulary grew by a word that day. I'm telling you folks out there listening, keep this up for a few weeks or even a few months, and you'll be surprised at how many interesting words you can learn. Yeah, you guys really like indoor sports up here. I mean, I get it, man. It's cold out there. Oh, except for that snowboarding y'all do. Now, that's wicked. It's like surfing on land, and the mountain is your wave, man. Wow, that's really introspective. I don't think I've ever thought of it like that. Yeah, and it's both more dangerous and less dangerous at the same time, bro. Well, how is it more dangerous? Well, if you wipe out on land, you're mashing on rocks and trees, not very soft like water. Oh, okay, that's true. That makes sense. How is it less dangerous? Dude, not nearly as many sharks, man. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, that's because, yeah, I've been up to this Mount Baker of yours twice now, trying out the gnarly runs. Spent all day on the slopes land surfing. I didn't see a single shark. It's as if they're not even there, man. Well, no, they actually really aren't, but I know better. I didn't let my guard down. No way, man, not for 1 second. I was on the constant lookout for sharks. That's how I know they're super rare up on the mountain. Keen observation, bro. Keen observation. Okay, so, moving on once again. Number 4 in our list of tips is to lead with listening. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, many times I have gone into a conversation thinking, I know what this person would like to hear. Perhaps I know them, or I think I understand their situation, etc. Again, good intentions, but we are not true mind readers. And the pitfall here is that if we find out that we were wrong, we either find out too late or we're never informed at all. The only tried and true method to avoid this sand trap is in making connections that matter, is to lead with listening. Mr. Brock, can you relate to this? Oh, totally, dude. This one time in the parking lot down by the beach on Santa Cruz, I saw this dude just staring out into the parking lot with a far out gaze. And I was like, this dude must be contemplating the meaning of life. So I totally told him all about how life was like a bunch of cars, man. Some people are fast, some are slow, some leak oil, and sometimes you get a flat tire. But you can always go to the car wash and feel all clean and new. And if you detail your insides, you'll smell fresher too. This was deep stuff, man. And then I said, even though we get older and our fenders start to rust, we are still cars, man. And what good would a road be without us? For it takes many cars to make traffic. Truly, your preponderance for allegory is dizzying. We're all part of the greater traffic, man. I thought I had just enlightened a searching soul when he replied, I was just trying to remember where I parked. Shove off, you beach bum. All that sage advice wasted because I didn't start by asking him what he was really thinking about. I just assumed. Well, oddly enough, I feel like you just illustrated the point perfectly. So for you listeners out there, remember, leading with a question is part of leading with listening. So to summarize what we learned today, the 4 tips for becoming a better listener are: 1, concentrate on what people are saying. Don't be distracted by your phone. Be slow to bring the conversation back to you. Don't pretend to understand. Ask for clarification. And finally, 4, lead with listening. If we practice these 4 tips when we converse with people, it will benefit us greatly, as these 4 tips are integral to helping us make connections that matter. Because if people feel like we are truly listening to them with genuine interests, they will feel like they matter to us, and conversely, we will end up mattering more to them. Yeah, we also learned that no one wants to headbang to Rhiannon. You can get arrested for it. What's that noise? Oh no. The window. The surfboard. Oh, heads up, man. Totally look out below, dude. Uh-oh, that's not good. I think my surfboard just made a connection with somebody on the sidewalk. Man, they should have been a better listener. Okay, well, that about wraps it up. That's definitely all the time we have for today. I got to get moving. We're going to have to relocate the studio once again, this time for insurance reasons and to avoid potential criminal negligence prosecution. But be sure to join us on our next episode in a couple of weeks, because loneliness isn't the end of the story. It's where connections begin. Have you recently been involved in a surfboard-related accident that resulted in serious injury or mid to maximum levels of death? If so, you need legal representation. Hello, I'm Elvin Hangton, assistant to an attorney at law. Well, I work in the building, and by proximity, I feel I'm qualified to represent you in court by providing legal defense counsel. No, I've never passed a bar, but I've been involved in a lot of surfboard-related fatalities. You could say I'm board certified. No matter what the cause, whether the accident was related to negligence, gravity, or even the elusive and seldom spotted mountain shark, I can provide the legal defense you need in order to deflect the accountability off of you and back onto Mother Nature where it belongs. Just call the offices of Wee Cheatham and Hell and ask for the janitor. I'm there for you. Do not take this legal advice if you are allergic to incompetence. Side effects of this advice may include unqualified representation leading to perjury, contempt, fines, and punishments, including due but not limited to civil and criminal liability, fines, garnishings, forfeitures, and unnecessary incarceration. Individual results may vary. Some restrictions may apply. Board where prohibited.